Hello, everyone. My name is Courtney Pollock, and I'm the Customer Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Reclaim Your Day with AP Automation, presented by our partners at Ottimate. So, before we get started, I want to go over just a few housekeeping items. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise to a minimum. However, throughout the webinar, you can ask any questions you have. If you'd like to submit a question, look for the questions section in your GoToWebinar panel, and we're going to answer all those questions at the end of the presentation. In your GoToWebinar panel, you also have the option to change the presentation layout to focus on just the presentation, change where the speakers are at, zoom in if you're having trouble seeing anything, and then we also have a handout section where you can download a copy of the deck itself. And speaking of the presentation deck, we are going to be recording today's webinar, and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees, as well as those who were not able to attend today. And we'd appreciate your participation in our closing poll and survey. So with that said, we're so glad that you've taken some time out of your busy day to be with us on this session. SWK is always here to help you fulfill your vision of a smarter and easier way to run your business by providing you with software, support, tools, and industry knowledge whenever you need it. So whether you're here to explore a new solution, or you're just here to learn, don't hesitate to ask any questions you have. We're going to dive into who our speakers are today, but you can see we've got a great group of people here with a lot of expertise to answer those questions live for you on this session. And finally, as a quick reminder, SWK is always sharing important updates and tips and tricks on our social media channels and our other webinars. So give us a follow on Twitter/X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, where you can find a lot of our other recorded webinars and video content. So that's enough for me. I'm going to hand it over to Brad and team for the main event.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Hello, everybody. My name is Brad Powell. I am a Senior Partnerships Manager here at Ottimate. I'll set the stage for what we'll cover today. And first and foremost, we want to thank SWK for allowing us this platform, as well as all you participants as customers of SWK to come and hear about Ottimate and our partnership, as well as the solution that we provide for accounts payable automation. I'll run through some formal introductions of my team here in just a moment. We will kind of build some momentum towards the end of our presentation throughout these different bullet points here, but my colleague Kelly will talk through the importance of technology and finance. We will kind of dovetail a little bit into Ottimate specifically and what we hear from our customers in terms of why they really do enjoy working with our platform. And as mentioned, my colleague Dijon will wrap things up with a demonstration of the inside the live platform for you all. And certainly we'll field some live Q&A towards the end as well. You all heard from Courtney moments ago, who graciously set the stage for us from the SWK team. Thank you, Courtney. Again, myself, Brad Powell, Senior Partner Manager here at Ottimate. As referenced, I have Kelly Goody with me, who is one of our esteemed solutions engineers, and Dijon, who helps work with our partners and clients from an enablement and education standpoint.
Thanks, Brad. And thank you all for joining today. So I will quickly introduce myself. I began my career in public accounting and tax, and then I moved on to a hedge fund where I was a controller for close to 6 years. This is where I first encountered, back office inefficiencies. So after taking a year off to travel, I knew I didn't want to go back into another traditional accounting role. So I worked at another automated bookkeeping software company where I helped accounting firms and small businesses implement AI-powered solutions. I noticed that one of the biggest challenges they were facing was with AP, and so that's what ultimately led me to Ottimate. So having experience both as a user and an implementer of AP technology, I'm very passionate about this space and how it can help other professionals like myself. So I'm excited to be here to share my insights with you all. That leads me to my first thought-provoking question that I want you all to be thinking about as we go through today's session. So with all of the challenges and around labor shortages and the time-consuming nature of manual tasks, are you fully taking advantage of AI and automation? The reason I bring this up is because labor shortages and time-consuming tasks, they are key challenges today. I was reading a recent Bloomberg analysis, and it said that there are 340,000 fewer accountants than 5 years ago. This is largely due to an aging workforce and fewer new graduates. This shortage does not only affect accountants, it affects CPAs, bookkeepers, as well as finance professionals. This is creating a rising demand for these roles, and as a result, many businesses are turning to AI and automation to bridge this gap. So let's dive into this topic. As you're thinking about your usage of AI and automation, let's take a look at where other finance professionals stand today with how they're implementing AI. If you're not one of those who hasn't started using AI yet, don't worry, you're not alone. And for those of you who have already adopted AI, you're part of the growing trend in the finance world. So a recent survey here by Gartner polled 121 finance professionals. It showed a clear increase in AI adoption from 2023 to 2024. In 2024, 58% of finance teams are already using AI. That's a significant jump of 21 percentage points compared to last year. I can say firsthand, I spoke with a lot of finance professionals last year. There was a lot of hesitancy. There was a lot of, I'm not sure what this is. A lot of them were just kind of in that education phase. And again, this year I have seen just a significant jump in people wanting to take the plunge. They want to learn more. They realize they really need to start utilizing this to stay ahead of the curve, stay ahead of their competitors, and just to run an efficient business. But I do want to note, there is 42% who are not using AI yet, but there are about half are actively planning to implement it soon. For those who aren't on board yet, I thought this was very interesting. The main hurdles that they're facing with, taking that plunge and starting to utilize AI was around data quality, availability, and gaps in data literacy and technical skills. These are the main areas that all of these CFOs see as something critical that they need to address to really harness the power of AI. What is interesting, though, is there is a shift in mindset. Over 2/3 of finance leaders say they're now more optimistic about AI's impact on their work than they were just a year ago, which really does correlate with what I was speaking to earlier. So it's clear AI is gaining momentum in finance and things are changing quickly. Now, I want to start talking about the top 4, AI use cases in finance. So where these finance professionals that we were just talking about, where are they using AI? Well, according to that study by Gartner, the 4 main areas where AI is making a significant impact is in intelligent process automation. So a good example of this is AI can automatically process invoices by matching them with purchase orders, flagging discrepancies. This is cutting down on manual data entry, speeds up approval times. This, they said, is about a 44% adoption. The next is with anomaly and error detection. So, example of this, AI scans financial transactions. It's able to spot any unusual patterns, discrepancy, helps catch errors, and maybe even prevent fraud. That's a 39% adoption. The third is in analytics. So AI is being used to analyze financial data to generate more accurate forecasts. This is helping finance teams with budgeting, making smarter data-driven decisions. 28% adoption. That one's a bit smaller. And then the last one is going to be operational support. So AI can provide, real-time recommendations like suggesting the best payment dates based on cash flow. This supports better decision-making while reducing overall workflow. So that is about a 27% adoption among finance professionals. So now that we've seen how other finance professionals are using AI within their organizations, let's talk about how you can decide which areas of your business should be prioritized for automation. As I said, having been both a user and an implementer of automation software, this is a question that I always commonly get. People are confused. They're like, where do I start? And my advice, if you haven't started, looking, implementing, is to start small. A complete overhaul of your tech stack can be a big undertaking. It takes time, it can take resources, and it takes money. So, and the other thing to think about too is that technology does bring significant changes. So you'll need to factor in training, change management, making sure that your team is up to speed and that you do have the resources to really take this on. So when evaluating tasks for automation, we have some criteria that, I always use this as kind of a benchmark. And right here on the right, these are in no particular order, but I want to cover them. And this will give you some ideas to think about as you are trying to decide which business processes you want to focus on, or which ones you want to start with first with your implementation process. So a few key areas is think about time consumption and transaction volume. You want tasks that high volume, time consuming tasks. It's where automation is really going to save you a lot of time. Also think about error frequency. If a process is very prone to mistakes, automating it can really help reduce errors and rework. The other thing to think about is business impact. Automating tasks that directly affect your cash flow and efficiency is essential. The other thing, integration ease. Look at your current systems. Will it fit smoothly within your existing systems? How easy will it be to integrate with them? Are they going to work well together? And the last thing I always want you to think about is scalability and cost analysis. Automation should be able to grow with your business, and the savings should always outweigh the manual costs. So if a task meets these criteria, it could really be a strong candidate for automation. That said, let's talk about, now that we've covered how to evaluate the tasks for automation, let's talk about why accounts payable or AP automation in particular should be a top priority for automation. As I was saying, for my nearly 6 years of handling AP manually, I can tell you firsthand how time consuming and error prone the task can be. Every bill, whether it's 5 or 50, needs to be scanned, entered, double checked, and that quickly adds up. Additionally, meeting payment deadlines can be a struggle for many, especially if you have a high volume of invoices you're tracking, and the chance of error is really high. It's really easy to key in the wrong amount, miscode an expense, and that's going to drive up your costs, and it will create bottlenecks as your business grows. An inefficient, AP process with limited controls also opens the door to potential fraud and audit risk. So all of these risks and challenges really make a strong case for prioritizing AP automation. So let's talk about now, what are some of the benefits for prioritizing AP automation as you're starting to overhaul your tech stack? We know, as we just discussed, that accounts payable is one of the most time-consuming and error-prone areas in finance. So automating it can lead to immediate improvements in cash flow, accuracy, and overall efficiency. So let's go over some of the key benefits that we've outlined here. So first, increased efficiency and productivity. Automation speeds up processes like where invoices are sent. It will create workflows for faster approvals. You can schedule payments to make sure that they're processed on time. The next is going to be accuracy and compliance. So when invoices hit the system, AI and machine learning can automatically code items. It's going to maintain an audit trail. It's going to show who has touched those invoices. It's also going to allow you to create policies to make sure every invoice gets in front of the right person. Next, cost savings. Your team is not going to be wasting time uploading or scanning invoices. We want, your team members to be doing things that are adding value to the businesses, and, uploading invoices is not always going to be the best use of their time. Next, payments are going to be on time. You also will not need to store paper invoices or deal with physical document storage, which can be a huge cost savings, especially if you are a big organization. The last is visibility, and what I love is control. So you want to be able to make sure that you have full control over your accounts payable process. Everything is in place. You'll get real-time insights into the status of the payments and any outstanding invoices. You can also track multiple locations at once. This is just going to give you, again, better control to prevent fraud and any, misappropriation. So now that we've explored the challenges and the potential benefits of AP automation, my colleague Brad is going to introduce you to Ottimate, which is a solution designed to tackle all of these challenges that we just addressed. It's going to help you streamline your accounts payable processes, and he's really going to do a deep dive into how we are helping people with these challenges that we just outlined.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That was a great lead-in to warm the audience up to Ottimate. I love how you share your personal experiences in corporate accounting before joining our team. Are such a valuable resource. So thank you for all that insight. So to transition a bit into our product, first and foremost, I'd like to share that we are certified integration partners for both Sage Intacct as well as Acumatica. We connect to your accounting system as an add-on solution to enhance what you've already started to experience with a cloud-based modern ERP system. We build and maintain our own integrations, and we are visible inside both the Acumatica as well as Sage Intacct marketplaces. The visual you're looking at here on the screen we'll start to highlight some of the key components to the Ottimate platform specifically. We are modular, so not everything that you'll see today in terms of the highlights that I'll talk through, as well as what you'll see later when Dijon gives you an actual walkthrough of the platform itself. Our clients do not need to subscribe to all. It is a modular platform. But some of the key highlights of how we help our clients with our software is by capturing all of your invoices into our system, which today you might be operating in a traditional manual paper-based mode, or oftentimes you've already extended that to an email-based movement of invoice data in somewhat of a digital format. But we capture, code, and digitize your invoices utilizing our AI and machine learning technology, really built to help speed up that process and make it a lot less time consuming from the standpoint of individuals needing to key data any longer. We can orchestrate and customize very simple and or complex approval workflows depending on your requirements. And we also structure the Ottimate platform to mirror how you have your Intacct and or Acumatica environments set up. If you have custom or multiple dimensions that you're coding your invoices to, for example, if you're a construction firm and you need projects, tasks, cost codes, those particular project-based accounting dimensions, we can certainly accommodate those types of things, as well as the flexibility that Intacct and Acumatica offer in terms of multiple entities and be able to decipher and segment whether it's users, roles, permissions, the flow of where invoices go for particular entity structures, legal entities or departments or cost centers. Beyond invoice workflows, we also extend the platform to enable our clients to pay bills through Ottimate as well. So we'll cover some of those highlights as we go through the next series of slides. So this is a simple visual just to help paint the picture of how simple it can be to utilize an AP automation platform such as Ottimate. The start of it, the invoice journey starts with Ottimate being viewed as kind of your global entry point to capture all of your vendor bills within our system. And we make it easy for not only vendors, but also our clients to do so and offer multi-modes of getting invoice data into the software application. You see on the left-hand side, You can use your Ottimate unique mobile application available on the Apple or Android store to snap a photo image of an invoice to easily get that into the platform. You can load paper stacks of invoices onto a scanner and automate the feeding of that information now into a large PDF, and we'll parse out those individual invoices for you automatically and separate them into individual unique invoice records. You probably already have a centralized email inbox where most of your vendors are sending bills to. We can connect that AP inbox to an Ottimate inbox as well and start to automate that workflow to not disrupt a lot of what you guys are already doing from that standpoint. And then lastly, EDI, a direct connection with vendors that have this ability, can send invoices directly into our platform without the need of any sort of additional steps to do so. Once those invoices are in our system, that's where the magic starts to happen, and our AI, OCR, machine learning technology starts to incorporate a lot of time savings for accounting teams. So we'll learn your coding behaviors. We'll learn the mapping structure of your vendors. We'll learn your approval workflows, and we'll start to orchestrate a lot of that process for you automatically, which for a lot of the accounting teams we interact with can be very time consuming in a non-automated world for managing AP. Now, once all the invoices are approved, we need to document this in kind of your ultimate source of truth, which is your accounting system. So as mentioned earlier, we have API-based integrations to sync invoice data into your ledger, just as though somebody would have manually keyed that invoice there, as well as we will push an image of the invoice into your accounting system. So you'll always have a clean record inside of your ERP. Again, not only invoice workflows, but once those are now in your ERP system as an open payable, we need to get those invoices paid. So we can orchestrate payment approvals as well as a payment approval workflow within Ottimate. Once payments are executed, we'll close the open payable via that API sync back to Intact and Acumatica to fully close out the invoice lifecycle. Speaking of vendor pay, we do offer our clients multiple modes of executing payments. We can be your extension from the standpoint of if your organization is still manually cutting and printing and stuffing envelopes and applying postage, if you live in a check-heavy environment. We don't necessarily want to disrupt that, but we can take that workload off of your accounting team's plate. So trigger the payment through our platform, but our team will actually physically print the check, utilize your check stock and digital signature, and facilitate the execution of that check out to your vendors. We also offer electronic modes of payment, standard ACH and/or expedited ACH offerings. And lastly, a growing in popularity method of payment is virtual cards. All of these options, we extend the value to your suppliers as well. So suppliers with our platform do have a portal where they can see incoming invoices that might be coming their way, incoming payments that might be coming their way, as well as we will send rich remittance detail to the vendors as well. This is a little bit of an unsung hero of our platform, and it's a differentiator for us. It's oftentimes something that we hear from our finance and accounting teams that we speak with, something that they would love to be able to get to at the end of the month, but don't always have time, and that's reconciling vendor statements. So we have a module that's part of our base platform, so everybody gets access to this that utilizes Ottimate. And just like we will digitize a vendor bill, we will also digitize your vendor statements. And because we've captured all of your vendor invoices inside of our platform, we're able to help in the reconciliation of that. So we'll check, hey, all of these invoices have come into the system with the exception of these 3 that are on this vendor statement. So we'll call out which invoices are missing and automate your interaction with your supplier to have them send those remaining invoices in, so now we can fully reconcile. Or if there's discrepancies in terms of the dollar amounts from when you got that invoice to what the statement shows now, we can also highlight those and flag the discrepancies to really make resolution of those vendor statements and reconciliation very clean and easy for your teams. And we hear often that a very time-consuming process that's oftentimes manual for accounting teams is this purchase order matching. With our integrations to Acumatica and Intact, we do have the ability to digitally ingest your purchase orders as well as your receivers from your accounting system into our platform. So now when that invoice comes in that's associated to that PO and that receipt, we can link these three source documents together, providing a real clean and easy user interface for your team to, similar on the vendor statements, to see and highlight discrepancies for quantities or dollar amounts that are different from what the purchase order was for what you received against what you were actually invoiced for, and then be able to manage those variances and exceptions within our platform to get a clean three-way match before you actually would agree to pay that supplier for those goods received. So this is gaining more and more popularity and becoming more and more commonplace as accounting teams are putting spend controls inside their organization. So this is a great module for that. And I'll wrap a banner around this, highlighting some of the key functionality components of the Ottimate platform, and then shortly transition things over to my colleague Dijon for the demonstration for you all. But these are kind of the pillars of what we hear most often from our clients why they say they really love working with Ottimate. And at the end of the day, it boils down to time saving. So you see the quote at the bottom where it references much more reduced time using an automated system that we're able to give back accounting and finance professionals. The other component of this is that we extend the value just beyond the back office in your accounting team, and do not limit the number of users from a pricing standpoint to be able to subscribe to Ottimate. So people in various departments can now have a more automated experience as well as it relates to them interfacing with our platform. But control, transparency, in a manual-based world, it's really hard to understand where those invoices are in their life cycle. I was in a meeting this morning with a client who has a traditional paper-based way of managing AP, and he stated that, and this is coming from the president of the company, I'm victim of it myself, he says. I'll have a stack of 10 invoices put on my desk, and before you know it, I'm on to various other time-critical tasks, and these invoices will sit there, and all of a sudden I'll get a note from accounting 60 days later, hey, this vendor is asking where our payments are. So that's from the president of the company himself stating so. So it's hard to have full control and transparency in a non-automated, centralized, single source of truth platform like Ottimate offers. Scalability we hear often too. Your organizations are growing, expanding internationally or adding additional locations or entities, and with that growth comes growth of invoice quantity, and you're faced with the decision, do I add additional personnel to help manage this growth, or might I consider putting a piece of technology in place that can scale with me to allow my team to be more efficient? And then ease of use. Our customers consistently are telling us that we love the design and the layout of your platform. It's very intuitive. It was easy to deploy. It matches really nicely with the way that my accounting system was structured. And we love the continuous learning that the AI brings to the platform to continuously help our teams. I referenced this earlier. and Dijon will show you in our UI, if you do have a multi-location, multi-entity structure, our product is designed really well to support that type of a configuration with your accounting system. And then to be able to consolidate up some nice reports associated with those various entities and organizational structure. So with that, I will have Courtney transition things over to Dijon to give you the live demo.
Excellent. Thank you, Brad. You can see my screen here, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
looks good.
Excellent, excellent. Obviously, happy to walk the team here through the Ottimate platform high-level demonstration, of course. I'm actually going to turn off my screen so I'm not distracting anyone with my beautiful face, but here we go. So yeah, here's an image of an invoice that lives within the Ottimate platform uploaded by the user. On the left-hand side, the user always has reference of what was uploaded, whether it be picture, scan, email, or EDI. They always have reference of the image of the invoice uploaded to the Ottimate platform. On the right-hand side is the result of Ottimate's OCR AI machine learning engine. Here we see and have visibility into all the digitized data provided by Ottimate. And please keep in mind, during the onboarding process, Ottimate will actually pull over the client's chart of accounts, the vendor list. Therefore, when mapping and coding invoices within the Ottimate system, clients are leveraging their data from their own ERP. And also, please keep in mind, Ottimate remembers the user's mapping and coding behaviors, leveraging smart mapping rules. So when allocating dimensions, users can eliminate recurring or repetitive manual data entry within their process. In this example here, we can see this user has already mapped and coded these line items once before. So the next time this vendor invoice is received with these line items, it will be pre-coded, sitting ready for review and approval as we see here today. Another unique aspect of Ottimate's functionality is the ability to handle intercompany transactions or basic splitting of an invoice between multiple dimensions, locations, departments, and/or entities. And here we can see with this invoice, this user actually has allocated already to multiple dimensions. We can see differing general ledgers as well as differing departments. And please also keep in mind for any of the users who would require certain custom dimensional fields stemming from your Intact or Acumatica environment, as Brad mentioned, Ottimate has unlimited dimensional capabilities. So again, we can handle whatever dimensions you are mapping to and within your ERP today. And again, in terms of allocating, eliminating manual entry, if you have recurring splits you need to execute within the platform, very simple, very easy to do so. Jumping to the account splits, this is how the AI groups the dimensional allocations within the Ottimate platform. Here, the client can actually toggle and see how they properly allocated these two line items. And in any event where they need to make edits, alterations, changes to their data, they are free to do so. Adding approvers to an invoice workflow. Let's say if we wanted to add an ad hoc approver to this invoice, it's very simple and easy to do so. I'm going to add my AP manager, who is Carol Brown today. Now she will receive an email notification to address this invoice, as well as this invoice will live in her needs attention tab to address. And last but not least, we also have the history tab, which is a complete audit trail with the historical context of all the activity associated to this invoice. Also great for internal communication. Here we can, let's say, connect Carol Brown with, let's say, Mark Hall, who is our controller CFO on site. And just to make sure these allocations are proper, I'm going to ask them both to please review. Again, both will get an email notification, as well as this invoice will live within the needs attention tab for them to address. And I want to actually address why financial and accounting teams love Ottimate. It provides them with central oversight over their back office processes, visibility into their invoice workflows, and also allowing them the option to execute vendor payments to obviously maintain happy vendor relationships. But let's actually take a step back. For those who are new to Ottimate, Ottimate's the best-in-class AP and vendor payment automation solution. We have roots in hospitality, therefore multi-entity management is a key component of the solution. Whether you're a smaller organization with a departmental structure, obviously having department heads needing to approve invoices, this is a great solution for you. Or if you're a construction organization, manufacturer, needing assistance with managing job costing or project accounting, this is a great solution for you. Or if you're in a larger organization with, let's say, a larger portfolio where, let's say, maybe this automotive business of yours is associated to a QuickBooks company profile, and obviously this construction organization is associated to a, let's say, Acumatica. Maybe this manufacturing uh, organization is associated to a Sage Intacct. You can manage your entire portfolio from one umbrella view, all within the Ottimate solution. And another reason why, again, why financial and accounting team members love Ottimate, we provide them with unlimited user accessibility. Therefore, there are no user license fees involved, along with the ability to configure and obviously create as many approval policies as you need. And they are very robust in terms of what you need for organizing your approval workflows. Maybe you want a specific user to focus on specific vendors, dollar amount, down to a specific dimension, general ledger. Whatever the case is, you have that capability to build out a workflow best suited for your organization. Also, please keep in mind we have user-defined workflows around requisitions, who takes action, or purchase order validation, who takes action, which project manager would actually have a user-defined workflow to address those variances instances, as well as a payment approval workflow as well. But we also provide users with a very flexible, configurable ability to create their own user-based roles depending on what their organization requires. But in terms of uploading invoices into the Ottimate system, it's super simple, super easy. We select where we like to upload invoices to. Clients always have options, as Brad mentioned, via picture, scan, email, as well as EDI, in addition to that instant capture feature there as well. Jumping to the invoice workflow, it's very simple, very easy to navigate. Here we have the Needs Attention tab. This contains any invoice data that needs to be brought to the user's attention. And Ottimate will actually tell you why it's living here, whether it's a missing dimension. This is that flagged invoice for our AP manager as well as our CFO controller. And again, in terms of mapping and coding invoices, Ottimate remembers your mapping and coding behavior. So it's one click, set it and forget it, unless you need to make changes and alterations to those allocations. So here we have a picture of an invoice on the left-hand side, and I believe this is a construction type of invoice that we're mapping to today. So obviously happy to address project or job costing here. But here the Ottimate system is telling us, hey, we have one unmapped item to teach the system how to allocate next time we see this line item per se. So again, leveraging smart mapping rules, we would just select from our drop-down menu from our list of chart of accounts. Here, I'm going to select a dimension. And again, you're leveraging those smart mapping rules. We can set it company-wide or just for this project or just for this one invoice here today. And please keep in mind, I also wanted to point out, if there are any dimensional hierarchies stemming from your Intacct or Acumatica environment, we can actually mirror those hierarchies within the Ottimate system. So if I know project or job code 10005 is associated to a cost code of 1350 and a cost type of 1200, I would only have to select one of the three dimensions and the rest would pre-populate. Less clicks saves time. And essentially, once an invoice has been mapped and coded, it would then trigger the client's approval workflow. So again, Needs Attention tab, once it's mapped and coded, would trigger the client's configurable approval workflow. And then this instance for within the Your Approval tab contains invoices that need my specific approver as the administrator of this account. I can bulk approve or obviously click into an invoice, have visibility, and approve from that view as well. Pending approval contains invoices that need to be approved by other individuals within the organization. And again, as the administrator of this account, I can approve on their behalf if I choose to. And last but not least, we have the Approve tab. Essentially, when invoices land in the Approve tab, this means they have been properly mapped and coded, approved by all pertinent party members within the organization, as well as they are ready to be synced into Acumatica or in Sage Intacct. And when populating invoices via our API integration into both Sage Intacct and Acumatica, we're not only populating all non-PO based invoices, we're populating PO based invoice detail as well, along with an image of the invoice, along with a link back to Ottimate. So if you do ever need to make changes within your Ottimate system, you are able and free to do so at your leisure. And as Brad mentioned, we do have a statement reconciliation module, very different from other AP ISVs within the market today. And I've sold the tool for the past 4 to 5 years. I love speaking with accounting teams, financial officers, because I know within their day-to-day, the statement reconciliation piece is something that generally comes end of month before the month end close to close the books quicker with accuracy. And sometimes teams are overwhelmed and don't have time to get to this piece of the puzzle per se. So we actually provide and allow our clients to upload vendor invoices as we see with this Gordon Foods vendor statement on the left-hand side. And since Ottimate's your digital file cabinet housing all of your invoices that have been received by vendors today, we can actually reconcile anything that has been received within our system on behalf of our clients today. Any missing invoices, any missing detailed discrepancies are float up top in red here as we see. And with one click, we see that email vendor button. Now we have a pre-populated email to send over to the vendor. So obviously accrue those missing invoices, leveraging that email address there. So when vendors send invoices, it's hitting the Ottimate instance. And I just want to obviously let the team know when vendors send invoices to Ottimate, leveraging the vendor statement reconciliation module, those invoices would then go through the client's configurable approval workflow, ultimately till they are reconciled on behalf of the client. This is a huge time saver for back office accounting staff team members. And also great for collecting credits, making sure everything is copacetic before the month end close. In terms of our vendor payment module, actually before I jump into vendor payment, I do want to also point out we do have that purchase order matching module we can facilitate two-way matches or three-way matches. Anyone wants to learn more about how our purchase order matching module can help your organization with specific user-defined workflows specific to your specific needs, please reach out to SWK and your account manager along with Brad. We would be happy to obviously dive a little bit deeper there. But we also have an optional vendor payment module as well. So within the vendor payment module, we can actually allow our clients to facilitate payments, whether it be check, ACH, or virtual card. There are no per transaction fees for digital payment formats, so free usage of ACH, free usage of the virtual cards, and there's a cashback rebate associated to the virtual card program as well. But let's say I'm a financial leader um, and I'm ready to execute payments for my portfolio today. If I'm looking to execute payments for the entire book of business, I can bulk schedule. I can even schedule up into a year in advance if I choose to. But maybe I'm cash flow sensitive a certain month. And even if I wanted to drill down to a specific area of the business, I can do so. Super easy, super simple. But let's say I want to issue my check run in a little bit more strategic fashion, thinking like an accountant. So here I would jump into my locations with unpaid invoices here. I can even filter by specific location, company, or bank account. Apply the filter here. I know after speaking with my controller earlier today, I'm a little cash flow sensitive this month. I can select all, have that running tally up top, but maybe I want to implement some cash flow control and actually deselect a high value invoice here today. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Create payment. So now this would actually trigger the client's payment approval workflow. And this is truly where the bread and butter for financial leaders comes into play, because this is the only piece of the puzzle. Once you set up your approvals, once you set up your users, you set up your approval workflows, you now have assurance that once invoices are ready to be paid, once they land in this bucket here for your approvals in terms of payments, it's essentially click, click. Once you hit approve, a check ACH virtual card would be initiated. But let's say, again, before any financial leader signs on a check or executes a payment within their ERP, they want to have visibility into that invoice that they're executing that payment on behalf. So that's exactly what we provide to financial leaders with one click. You have the physical copy of the invoice that was uploaded on the left-hand side, and all the right-hand side is all the digitized information provided by Ottimate, and we see it's in a state of payment pending approval. And there's also options to expedite checks as well if you choose to. But again, once you approve payments, a check, ACH, or virtual card will be initiated. And this is primarily where you're actually completing the loop, completing the cycle, getting that payment file back into your ERP accounting software. And essentially, clients also want to paint this picture. We do have touchless syncs with our API integrations into Sage Intacct as well as Acumatica. And it's the same with the invoicing module. So clients can actually set up a time sync or a touchless sync via end of day, Friday, 5 p.m., whatever you require, we can actually set up that time sync on the back end for you. Or if you need to obviously force push, you have the freedom and ability to do so within the system. But again, this is again where the client can get that payment file back into their ERP, closing the loop, closing the cycle. Regarding our vendor payment module, it is a one-to-one bank rec. So we're not collecting upon the client's check floats. We're not holding any funds within an escrow account, making reconciliation a breeze. You would see the vendor name, the amount, rather than having to decipher what invoices are associated to which escrow account. And if you're doing anything in a manual fashion today, this would be an absolute added bonus to not actually have to do it in a manual environment, but knowing and having your checks and balances, knowing that you can close the books quicker with accuracy, leveraging the Ottimate platform. But that's pretty much Ottimate from tip to tail at a high level. Obviously, would love to dive a little bit deeper, but I'm going to pass it back to you, Brad.
Thanks, Dijon. Very nice high-level walkthrough for the team. If you all have any questions, we are happy to field them.
Yes.
Just go ahead
Hi,
and post
Brad.
it in the Q&A. Hey, Courtney.
Hi. Yes. So we are going to dive into Q&A now. So thank you, team. That was a lot of great information. I'm sure we've got some good questions out there, and we've already had some come in. So if you haven't had a chance to put your question in, you can do that in the question section of your GoToWebinar. And also, before we dive into those questions, we'd appreciate your participation in a quick poll. So just curious to know if you have any next steps after getting, all of the information shared here today. Dijon did a great job of diving into, some of the features and showing us some of that functionality in real time. But there was a lot more to explore there. So if you'd like a personalized demo where, this is personalized conversation for your company and show you the features that matter most to you, let us know. Or if you'd just like to get some more information about Ottimate, we covered a lot here today, but there's always more detail to cover, especially how it relates to your specific business goals. So thank you for participating in that poll, and we will dive into those questions in just a moment. Okay, and we're going to leave this open for just one more second. Team, I've got some good questions here. So again, don't hesitate to ask any questions you have. We have a wealth of expertise with us today, and no question too big or too small. And if it requires, a little bit of an offline conversation, some detail there, that's no problem at all either. Okay. Let's dive in. So thank you for participating in that poll, everyone. Brad, Kelly, Dijon, the first question I have from the audience is, we had someone ask, do I have to use Ottimate's vendor pay solution, or can I pay out of my ERP system?
I'll take that. This is Brad. Thanks, Courtney, and thanks for the question, whoever raised that. Short answer, like I mentioned earlier, is no, you don't have to. We are a modular platform. So if you've come to enjoy the process of initiating payments out of your core financial system, you can continue to manage it that way. With that said, we do see that accounting teams sometimes will phase out the process, start with invoice automation on platform, and then add on vendor payments as a phase 2. Because you will start to realize more and more efficiencies by having everything in one single source of truth, from invoice all the way through payment execution, for what the Ottimate platform offers. So thank you.
Can I actually piggyback off that, Brad?
Sure.
In terms of if you do ever encounter any situations where vendors double bill you, this is a great solution to eliminate that. So again, no human error, whether it be on the vendor side or your team side. It would eliminate the opportunity for that to happen. That's all I wanted to add.
Sounds good.
Great. That's great to know. Another question we had come through is, my company has a very complex approval process. Is your solution able to support complex setups?
It is. Dijon highlighted a little bit of that when he walked through the high-level demo. But Dijon, do you want to just touch on some of the criteria in terms of how we can orchestrate some of those complex approvals?
Absolutely, Brad. So whether you're creating invoice approval workflows, requisition or purchase order approval workflows, payment approval workflows, they're very nimble in terms of how you can structure those. But simple approval workflows for like an invoice, so like a simple invoice approval policy per se, you can build them around the entire portfolio, a group of entities or departments, even down to a single individual location. You can build these conditions to be around a specific vendor. It could be a dollar amount more than less than. You can build them around flagged reasons, like purchase order detail. You can build on top of other policies, so multi-tiered policies rather than just linear policies. You can build around item SKUs, tags, specific users, whether it be user-based or role-based approvals, even down to a specific dimension or general ledger department. Very nimble, very flexible. And they could be and or as well. It could be a dollar amount and a specific vendor. So if you can think of a workflow that works best for you, we can build it for you.
Great to know. We've got some great questions coming in, so thank you, everyone. This is kind of something I realized that we didn't cover. Before we go through the other questions, could you guys tell me a little bit about how these pricing is structured for Ottimate?
Yeah, I'd be happy to address that. We had shared earlier during the discussion that we don't limit users or use that as a criteria for how we build our pricing. The pricing primarily is, number one, a platform access fee for our core module, which is the invoice ingestion and workflows. And again, modular, if you choose to add on vendor pay or purchase order matching, for instance, there are per modular fees on top of the core platform access for AP. And the other criteria is the volume of invoices that you're processing through the platform. So we'll look at right sizing a pricing package for you based on either monthly and or annual if you have seasonality throughout your calendar year in peaks or valleys of business. So we'll look at your monthly and or annual invoice volume and put together a invoice threshold tier for you based on that volume. So that's really the criteria: platform fee and invoice volume.
Okay. And, I think that relates to another question we had, which was, is everything you showed already built in Acumatica, or would I need to buy and pay separately? So, I'll take a bit of that. This is Ottimates are great partners. They're great partners to Acumatica if that is your ERP of choice that you're using. So this is a add-on for Acumatica. So it is not native to Acumatica itself, but I'm sure, Brad, you have more to say to that.
You're 100% accurate in that statement there, Courtney. We are partnered with SWK and enable our SWK teammates to resell the Ottimate software alongside our assistants. With that said, for our joint customers, we can put together an aggregated billing statement for you. So in that sense, we are an add-on solution, but we fulfill our software in conjunction with the SWK team for any other solutions that you might represent with your Acumatica environment.
Yes, and everyone's case is very unique and specific, when it comes to ERP and your setup and what else you already have set up there. So don't let any of these pricing conversations hesitate you from, reaching out to your SWK rep and just finding out what Ottimate could do for you, because there's always a lot of specificity to any conversation around pricing and how it's going to work within your larger ERP system. And we'd love to help you figure that out. We've got a good few more questions, team, for these last 5 minutes. So let's dive in. Someone from the audience asked, does Ottimate manage the this is kind of around implementation again too as well. Does Ottimate manage implementation, or do you require clients to work with a systems integrator?
Kelly, if you don't mind, from a solutions engineering standpoint, coming in on talking through a little bit of our client onboarding experience, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, so in terms of the implementation standpoint, if you do have a partner, so in this case it would be SWK, if you're using Acumatica, we would coordinate with SWK, make sure that everything is aligned on our side, create a plan. And then we do have an API integration with Acumatica as well as Sage Intacct. So that's a pretty straightforward process on our side. So we would just, after we have everything we need, we understand your dimension requirements, we've coordinated with your SWK rep, We will then hand that over to our solution services team. And as we mentioned, we have plenty of clients, so this is a pretty straightforward process in which we will have that direct API connection. They're going to be able to connect everything, and we will be able to move forward from there. After that initial implementation, we will start with all of the training processes, and we will move forward from there. So that is currently, we are going to be managing the implementation on our side with working with your partner as well as your assistants. And then if there is anything custom, we will obviously have that conversation before and involve any of the necessary parties that we need to complete that implementation project.
Great, thank you, Kelly. And I know we've name dropped Acumatica a lot today. I want to remind everyone that if that is not your ERP of choice, they are not the only ERP that Ottimate works with. So there are others. I know we have people from Sage Intacct on this call as well. So if you're hearing Acumatica and you're thinking that's not my ERP, don't worry. It's not the only one. A couple more questions. Could you guys speak to, someone asked, how do the taxes work? So can you speak to taxes at all?
That's another Kelly question.
Absolutely. So I'm assuming the question might be around, is it sales tax or, so typically I'll address that question if that's what we're talking about. So if there's sales tax on an invoice, we can certainly set it up to where we prorate it across the different line items. Alternatively, if you want to make sure that sales tax is going to just one specific line item on its own on the invoice, we can obviously do that as well. I'm assuming that we're talking about sales tax on the invoice. So I hope that answers the question. If not, please reach out and we can address any questions further.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. And our final question before we head over to thank yous is, can Ottimate read multiple page, multiple line invoices?
Yes, most definitely. Dijon had referenced that we started with our roots in the hospitality industry, working with a lot of restaurant management groups, and invoices can be very line item intensive, long, multi-page invoices when you're ordering a lot of individual food supplies and ingredients. So across any industry, though, if that's your use case, our platform does have the ability to read down to the line item level, as well as um, multiple page invoices. I had mentioned too, our invoice ingestion engine, if you have a large PDF that might have multiple invoices in that one single PDF, as long as that PDF is uploaded into the Ottimate platform, our technology will parse through that master PDF and segment it out into the individual invoice records, even if they are multiple pages.
And just to obviously allude or to add on some more color, we can handle batch file, obviously batch file invoices. So if it's like a 10, 50, or 300 invoices within that batch file, Automate will actually auto collate those invoices into individual invoices and alleviate any manual intervention needed by the user.
Awesome. Great information. Thank you everyone on the audience for all of those questions. So we want to, we're running out of time here. So I would just want to say thank you for everyone that took time out of their day to be with us. We know your time is important. So we appreciate you spending some time with us to learn about Ottimate. Brad, Kelly, Dijon, thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. We, love partnering with you, and it's a great solution. So thank you for, helping our audience learn a bit more about it. And as always, if you want to learn more about Ottimate and how it can help your business, you can reach out to your SWK rep. Let us know in the post-webinar survey, or we are always available at info@swktech.com. And you can also explore a little bit about more about Ottimate on our website at swktech.com. So thank you all and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.